In this video, I will show you how to record in transaction ME51N as well as ME52N. Here I am in transaction under the new screen, and I'll type in ME51N. I'll type in my password to SAP, and it'll ask me to choose a recording mode. Typically with most Enjoy transactions, we recommend using batch input mode. However, for ME51N specifically, the purchase requisition number will not be returned in your log column unless you stick with non-batch input mode. Specifically with this one, we're going to use with SAP controls because when we get to the filter screen later, the with SAP controls will allow us to work within that screen. This is important because otherwise you will not be able to utilize the filter. Now hit next. And here I am in ME51N. I'm going to open up the item overview. And the first thing I'd like to point out is that the fields that we see here are not actually usable by Winshuttle transaction yet. These are what we call an ALV grid and will not have SAP screen and field information for the script to pick up. So I will need to step into the Personal Settings button and uncheck Item Overview as Grid Control. You will now notice the screen looks a little different and my buttons have moved to the bottom here. Now I will type in a material, quantity, and a plant. Just some basic information to get in the recording here. And then I'm going to step into the quantities and dates section and just update my delivery date here. At this point, I'm going to actually enter the filter. And here it's important to note that you actually have to specifically click over here before you can move the item over. This is important because otherwise you will be clicking this over arrow without actually highlighting anything when it comes to running the script. And I'm going to do this for each item here that I'm going to bring over. In this case, I'm specifically trying to get to item of requisition so that we can use that to filter on. And now I'm just going to type a number that I know will never exist so that our screen is always going to be cleared out for the loop. And now I'll type in my next material. And again, I'm just going to make an update to the delivery date. At this point, my recording is over, and I'm going to save and exit. And now I'll begin creating my mapping. Similar to ME21N, we're going to have a single line item that's outside of the loop because we need one there in order to click into the filter button. So there I have my first set of line items. And then the delivery date. And then here we are going into the filter. And here I have entered my filter criteria. And now we're in the section where I'm going to create the loop. I'm going to leave the details as is here, meaning my Excel ID column is going to be A, and H and D are going to be my header and detail IDs. And now I'm going to back out and save both my Excel preview and my script. Now I'm going to open up my data file, and as you can see, I have two separate purchase orders set up here, indicated by the two H and D rows that I have here. Now I'm going to click the Run button, and we should see that it creates two sets of purchase requisitions. And here we are. Purchase requisitions were created. Now I will show you how to record an ME52N. Again, we're going to use the non-batch with SAP controls recording mode because we want the values returned in the log column. So I'm going to change that here and then hit next. And again, I'm going to click into Personal Setting, uncheck Item Overview as Grid Control. Now that I've pulled up our purchase requisition, I'm going to enter into the filter screen. And again, filter by item of requisition, except this time I'm going to filter to an item that actually exists so that I can update it. Again, clicking on each one of these individually. To make sure that they get over into the filter criteria screen. And now I'm going to filter to line item 20. And at this point I'll hit my display change button. And I'll go back into the quantities and dates tab and update the date here. At this point I'll go ahead and save. And it'll take me back to the mapping. I'll now begin my mapping by dragging and dropping where I want my columns to be mapped to, starting with the purchase requisition number and then the item number in that purchase requisition that I want to filter to, and then my delivery date. At this point I can go ahead and back out and save my Excel file as well as my script. And now I'll open up my Excel file. You see that I again have the two purchase requisitions that we'd created, as well as both item numbers and updated delivery dates. And I will now run the script. And we should see all of the dates update for our purchase requisitions. And as we can see, all of the purchase requisitions have been updated.